inventory of new Dodge vehicles in St. Louis. Visit them in Ellisville, Missouri or Columbia, Illinois. Online at RoyalGateCars.com. This is Psych with Mike.
Good evening and welcome into the Royal Gate Dodge Studios. This is Psych with Mike, and we are not going to discuss it, but producer Frank is, before the show, blowing my mind. So, as you always do, because you are a font of information, you follow news and news stories. Anybody who doesn't follow you on Twitter should follow you on Twitter. Because you are always putting stuff out there, and whenever I have seen anything that you've put out, it has always been interesting.
I like to put stuff out there that makes you think just a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's all. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of thought. Not necessarily a political angle to anything. Just make you think about something here.
Absolutely.
Come up with your own thoughts about these things. And then I also vent about sports.
Yes, which is something that you did today. Do you want to just let us know what you put out there today?
I didn't. What did I do about today? Well, there were
the Rams.
Oh, that was actually last night. I went down to the state championship high school football game, and that was my first full football game that I'd watched since the Rams left town, and I don't miss it.
And you tweeted a link, John Marisak link, that was to Rams gear, full price Rams gear on sale for the Christmas holidays. So anyone.
At Lambert Airport, mind you.
Yes.
They have full-price St. Louis Rams football gear at Lambert Airport.
Anyone
the team hasn't been here in 2 years.
To buy full-priced St. Louis Rams gear for the Christmas holiday needs to go down to Lambert Airport and pick it up, because I'm sure it's going to sell out.
It's absolutely comical.
Yeah.
There's racks of this stuff.
Yes. You can't make this stuff up.
Nope.
It's vintage. That's the thing. It's vintage.
Right. For who?
Yes. For everyone. Now all the LA fans want St. Louis Rams gear.
No, they don't.
You don't know LA fans.
They don't even want LA Rams fans gear.
All right. So we're just having a little bit of fun going into tonight's show. It is the weekend after Thanksgiving, so I wanted to start off by asking you, what are you thankful for? What were you thankful for this year?
Thankful for my wife. We are coming up on a 1-year anniversary of being married.
Congratulations.
Coming up on that here in a couple of weeks, so very thankful for her. She does more for me every day than I could have possibly understood prior to this.
That is a fantastic ode to marriage and to your lovely wife, so that is good to hear. I have been married for 30 years, and I would absolutely say the same thing. I can't tell anyone enough how much, after even 30 years, that I am stunned and amazed by how much my wife does for me and how much my life is improved by having her be a part of it. I'm also thankful for my sister-in-law is beginning to wake up and become more conscious. So for people who don't know, a couple of weeks ago, my sister-in-law had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Things didn't look good. My daughter and I had put together some novel treatment protocols that we were able to work with Barnes Hospital, and they agreed to implement, and she is now beginning to regain consciousness, which everybody is calling a miracle. And I am amazed at how much the medical community, and believe me, if anybody wanted to give me credit for this, I'd be fine with it. Don't get me wrong, but how much the medical community, when they can explain something, is more than willing to use and implement the act of God as the explanation. So,
miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle. I mean,
well, it just continues to prove that, there's stuff we don't understand.
Right.
And it's not logical, and it works. I was listening to a radio show this afternoon about rabies. And what do you know about rabies?
I know that if you get the virus, that it eats away at the neural tissue of your brain, and you eventually go insane and die.
Right, and you die. And yet there have been times where people have survived.
Oh yeah,
people who've had it, but they really don't quite know why, and yet they have these ideas that, well, this worked with this person, this worked, so out of like 30 trials, 5 survived. Well, that's 5 more than death. Right. So they don't quite know why, but they're able to say, well, this just worked this way. No matter how much study you do.
And for people who don't know overtly, or don't may not care, but I am a Christian, and I'm not shy about saying that and telling people what that means to me. So I have absolutely no problem with invoking the name of God or a higher power as an explanation for anything. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I think that it is difficult for people who are willing to say, yes, these are miracles, these are acts of God, to defend the obvious alternative, which is, okay, if these miracles happen as acts of God, then why do bad things happen? And again, I'm not going to get into or try and explain the rationale for that. That is beyond my pay grade. But as somebody who does believe in a higher power, I don't have any problem with those things. And we're going to actually talk a little bit about some of that tonight. So I have just a ton of stuff that is swirling around in my head tonight. And so I put up 4 things on the website. So at Psych With Mike on Facebook, or you can follow me on Twitter at Psych With Mike. And I always try and put something up for people to look at, to kind of follow along with what we're talking about. And so the 4 things that I put up was an article about nuts and their connection to certain brainwave frequencies, and then an article on brainwaves themselves, an article on flexibility of neural networks and why that is important, and then how to increase the flexibility of your own neural networks. And so we're going to get into all of those things, and I'm going to try and tie those things together and put a bow on it before the end to let you know how those things all are interconnected. But the first thing that I want to say is that, I have always prided myself on, if anybody were to ever say to me, wow, Mike, you're smart, I think you're smart, what I tell people is, I don't know what that means. I don't think there's a good definition for that. I do believe that I have some skills, and the one skill that I've always felt like that I have, that I am really, really proud of, is my ability to see connections in pieces of information that appear to be disparate or not connected. And so I've always called that synergy. So being able to take information that doesn't look like that it goes together, and being able to find some kind of connection and being able to explain that, I've always thought was my strongest skill. I think that that is what makes me a good educator, a good teacher. I think it's what makes me a good therapist, one of the things that makes me a good therapist. And so that is, I've been thinking a lot about that because, my daughter and I have been working on this issue of this subarachnoid hematoma, and that was localized in the cerebellum of my sister-in-law's brain. And thinking about, okay, how could you do something to try and repair that damage, to try and make that better? And that was how we got the idea of going into, glutamate agonism. So agonist means makes more of. So trying to support the rebuilding of her brain by giving her brain the building blocks that it needed to be able to repair that damage. And now that that appears to be having some benefit, we're all really, really excited, and we're all really happy. But I think that is my strength. And so then I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, okay, I want to be able to tell other people, how can you try and be more connected or be able to see the patterns of things more clearly? And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about tonight. And the first thing that I put up was this article on nuts and brainwaves. And so probably a lot of people say, oh, that's nuts, pun intended. And I'm not sure how much of this is good science, okay? So I'm going to say that up front. I do have a link to an actual research article, and so it does appear that there may be some connection here. How powerful the connection is, I'm not sure. What I can tell you is I am not espousing that anyone go out and eat nuts specifically to make your brain work better. Right. It's not that simple, especially if you're allergic to nuts. Then absolutely don't do that, because that could potentially be fatal. But there is research now that is being done that is linked to this idea of nuts and the impact that they might have on your brain. So I just want to throw the phone numbers out there. Area code 314-969-9797, 866-455-9797. If you have something that you're thankful for this weekend that you want to call and let us know about, you can call up. If you have any questions or comments about what we're talking about, then you can call us. But getting back to this idea of the nuts and the ways in which they help your brain function, everybody probably already knows that there are machines called EEGs, electroencephalograms, that actually take pictures, make graphs of the ways in which your brain operates. And so most people probably, either because you've seen this on TV or you know something about it yourself, know that those graphs that an EEG machine tracks are called brain waves. And there are different kinds of brain waves. And so when you are in different phases of alertness, your brain has or produces different wave patterns. And so there's also a link on the at Psych With Mike Facebook page, and I tweeted out, that has to do with brainwaves. And so if you look at that, then you will know that there are delta waves, theta waves, alpha waves, beta waves, and gamma waves. And so the low end of the waves are where you're asleep. So delta and theta waves are wave patterns when you are in restful sleep. So when you start to get drowsy and start to fall asleep, your brain enters into what's called theta wave pattern, and that's called somnolence. So that's the area between being awake and being asleep. And then when you fall deep, deep asleep, then your brain waves are in a delta pattern. And when you're awake and you're alert, you have an alpha wave pattern. When you are concentrating on something, your brain waves are in beta. And then you have this area called gamma. And gamma waves are not well understood by science. And the reason is because gamma waves operate in a frequency that your neurons are not physiologically capable of reproducing. So again, we were just talking about sometimes science can't explain things. And when that happens, what is the explanation? Well, maybe it is that we just don't understand. Maybe it is that eventually we're going to develop better ways of measuring or better explanations or just a more comprehensive foundational understanding. But it could also be that there are some things that we're never going to explain because they happen beyond our capacity to understand. And gamma waves operate in a frequency that is beyond the physical capacity of your neurons to operate. So we can't explain in science why that happens, but we know that gamma waves are the wave pattern of that people enter into when they are having religious experiences, when they are in deep meditation. And so what happens is that your brain's waves go, into a beta state, then they drop down into an alpha state when you're meditating, down into a theta state, and usually you go into a delta state, and then all of a sudden something happens and your brain jumps up into gamma. So you're still, for all intents and purposes, you look very restful and maybe even almost asleep, but your brain is operating at a level that is what science would call transcendent. We can't explain how it happens, but when your brain is in a gamma wave pattern, your brain is more open to making connections. It's more open to seeing patterns. It's more open to being able to come to realizations, insights, and epiphanies. So an epiphany is a foundational understanding of the nature of a thing. And so spending more time in that gamma wave frequency is good for everybody. And I would like to believe that I spend a lot of time in gamma. I try and condition myself to be in a gamma wave pattern as much as possible. I would like for everybody to think about, okay, how could you be in a gamma wave pattern? And that's kind of what we want to talk about tonight, is being able to, for you to do real things that you can do to make your brain operate more efficiently, to be able more efficiently, and to be able to make more and better neural connections. So looking at this nut study, basically what they had said is that pistachios were the nuts that actually created the most intense gamma wave response, and peanuts, which are actually legumes, but that's a technical difference, but are not actually nuts, but they're close enough. I call them nuts. And that created the greatest delta response. So I don't know if that's going to make me want to go out and eat more pistachios, because I'm not a huge pistachio fan. But what I do think is probably true is that there may be links to things that we eat that are more important than we even realize. So as we start to be able to unpack the difference between foods that are highly processed and the negative impact that those have in our life and the positive impact that actual natural foods have, I think we're going to begin to see more and more how these natural foods actually have a positive impact on our lives and on our health. So I've said this before, and I will say it again here. Omega-3, so fatty acids, so DHA is the stuff in omega-3 that actually is very, very good for your brain. Omega-3 fatty acids, so this is fish oil tablets, have been shown to have a real linkage to this operation that we're talking about, helping your brain to operate as efficiently and as robustly as possible. So there are things that I recommend to my clients, and you can call them homeopathy, and that's fine. You know what? And here's the thing. Maybe they don't do any good at all, but you're not hurting yourself by taking them. Maybe it's only a placebo. So a placebo means that if you think something works, then it does, but we can't explain why that happens. And so what? It's, fish oil tablets are cheap placebos compared to other psychotropic medications. But what if these things actually do have an impact and people just push them off because they don't understand them, right? So the doctors at Barnes Hospital, they may not understand what cycloserine does as a neuromodulator or as a medication that helps to repair damage in the brainstem, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work or that it doesn't help. And so what if we don't do those things and they really could be beneficial? So that's what I tell my clients is, even if these things are homeopathy, what if they actually are beneficial and you don't do them? So I would encourage people to think about that. You can start thinking about, if I wanted my brain to operate in these patterns more efficiently, more effectively, what would I do to make that happen? One of the things that we know for gamma wave activity is good, healthy food allows your brain to operate in a gamma pattern better. Meditation helps your brain to operate in a gamma pattern more efficiently, more often, more sustainably. And so I want to try and parse that out a little bit more, unpack that, look at what happens when your brain is operating in those wave patterns. So we're going to go to our first break. Again, if you have any questions, comments about tonight's show, or you just want to share something that you're thankful for, area code 314-969-9797, 866-455-9797. Be right back.
Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight.
Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych With Mike. Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. Join Jamie Allman for a special happy hour event with the Heritage Foundation, Thursday, November 30th at Cyberg's on Dorset, with a panel discussion on tax relief for the American people and how it benefits Missouri families. Details and register for this free event at 971talk.com.
Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event spotlights up to 28% off. That's as much as $15,000 off on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rams. Get 0% for 72 months plus $1,000 back. TVs, gift cards, tablets, oil changes. Win them just for coming in. 8 a.m. Friday through Cyber Monday. Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event. 2 locations. Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri, and in Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or online at royalgatecars.com. Up to 28% off on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We're talking $15,000 off, or 0% for 72 months and $1,000 back. You want to experience real Black Friday savings? Then you gotta go to Royal Gate, #1 for all the right reasons.
Royal Gate, the driving force.
Discount off MSRP. Stock numbers D6893 and J6042. MSRP 52205 includes all rebates. See dealer for details. Monthly payment of $1,309 per $1,000 finance with approved credit.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. TJ Williams from the Institute of Natural Health. I would like to invite you to tune in to our show Wellness 101 Sundays at 3 p.m. During this exciting hour, we will be diving into the health topics that you want to know about. We will be talking about your concerns and giving real-life examples of ways people can heal and the transformations we have seen with our clients. So tune in to Wellness 101 Sundays at 3, where we will cut through the nonsense to provide you common sense, science-based strategies for a healthy life. That's Wellness 101 Sundays at 3. And you can find us online at theinstituteofnaturalhealth.com.
Right now, BidOnline.stl.com is your place to save up to 70% on brand new items from this station's advertisers. It's your shopping destination for holiday gift ideas, wedding packages, furniture, vacations, Honda motorcycles, bed sets and mattresses, jewelry, even tattoo removal. Save up to 70%. Shop from area businesses like CarCraft, Carroll House, STL Suntan and Spa, Hoods, Dynamic Chiropractic, Travel House, and more. Right now, bid on items and services offered by our radio station's approved advertisers at BidOnlineSTL.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for the fine people at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. So, no surprise, I'm going to talk to you today about the holidays because it's a real thing. We want our homes to look as good as they can. We have Thanksgiving coming up. We have Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's and birthdays and anniversaries and engagement parties and the whole bit. Plus, it's wintertime, which means we are going to be spending more time inside, and the kids are going to be rolling around and laying around on the carpet and watching television. So you want your carpets to not only look clean, but you want them to be clean, because just think about it from a scientific standpoint. Gravity, all the nasty stuff of the world from you, from your dogs, from the earth fall down and it falls on your carpet and it gets real bad. Zero Res can clean them expertly. 3 big rooms for just $119. Call 314-474-2020 or go online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Roy Moore denies it.
All hell is coming to Alabama.
Keeping you informed and up to date.
The lies, character assassination ends today.
Rogue behavior.
Give John Conyers a big round of applause.
Settled with a staff member.
Taxpayers' dollars paid out.
A lot of things are coming out. As far as Franken, he's going to have to speak for himself.
The news and talk station for St. Louis.
Charlie Rose sexually. This is a moment.
FM News Talk.
It's time to clean house.
I think it's very good for women.
97.1.
Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. Now, more Psych with Mike on FM News Talk 97.1.
Welcome back into the Royal Gate Dodge Studios, and we are here tonight talking about how to make your brain operate better, how to make neural connections more sustainable and reliable in your brain so that your brain operates better. So far we've talked a little bit about the benefits of nutrition and the benefits of things like meditation and how that affects the brain waves that your brain operates in, the frequencies of the brain waves that your brain is functioning in. And now for this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about why that matters and what actually is intelligence. And one of the things that I have been a big researcher of is this idea of intelligence, because I've taught developmental psychology for 20 years, and no one has ever, it doesn't matter what anybody tells you, no one has ever defined what intelligence is. So we measure intelligence, or we measure things, we measure aspects of people's behavior that we think may represent intelligence, but the truth is nobody knows what intelligence actually is. And so while I've been working on this, trying to help my sister-in-law get better and recuperate, one of the things that I've heard repeatedly in the neural ICU unit up at Barnes Hospital is, well, a person only uses a part of their brain. Have you ever heard of that, Frank, that people say, well, you don't use your whole brain?
You use only 10% of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. No, that is the
lore,
the adage, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it. That's insane. Why would nature evolve your brain to only use 10% of it?
Because we would look really weird with smaller heads up here,
teeny tiny ant heads.
Yeah.
So the truth is that you use your entire brain all of the time, but what we don't know is what certain parts of the brain do. So there are areas of the brain that are unmapped. That doesn't mean that we don't use them. It means that we don't actually know what they do. But there's no part of the brain, there's no part of the human brain that we don't actually physically use. So there isn't any part of your brain that if it gets damaged that you don't suffer. There may be parts of your brain that if they get damaged you don't suffer as much, or what's probably more likely is that your brain has the ability to reroute that operation to somewhere else. So that's called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the term that we use for the brain's ability to be able to repair itself. Now, when I first took physiological psychology, so physiological psychology is the actual physical study of the brain. When I first took physiological psychology, we were told in that class back in the early 80s that your brain, you had the total number of neurons that you were ever going to have in your life when you were born. You would never create new ones, and that you had about 100 million neurons in your brain. I still have the book that I had in the early 1980s that said this information. So now in 2017, we know that that is bogus. Your brain is capable of actually regenerating neural tissue, rebuilding it, and that your brain can actually even create new neurons. That's called neurogenesis, all the way through your lifespan. So it is not actually true that your brain is static and that it doesn't continue to develop. Your brain continues to develop all the way across your lifespan. That's never going to stop. But when we think about intelligence, what is it that we think about? We think about, do you know a lot of words, right? Do you know, can you recite a lot of information? Can you remember a lot of things? So that's called crystal intelligence. So crystal intelligence is all of the stuff that you can remember, all of the stuff that you can memorize, and then report back. And then there's a kind of intelligence that has to do with being able to solve algebra problems or paint a picture, the idea of creativity and artistry. and that's then called fluid intelligence. So there's these two different kinds of intelligences. And one of the things that I've often said is that we really, even those two different kinds, which are radically different and obviously are very descriptive of certain behaviors that human beings have, even those two kinds of intelligence don't explain everything. And why not? Here's why not. Because a lot of people could say, wow, Frank, you're really smart. You know a lot of things. You can, pull out facts and report information like nobody's business. So you're really pretty smart.
Yeah, but that's just remembering things.
Right, but that is a kind of intelligence.
Sure. Okay.
And so, there are ways of being able to measure that. And so I can measure that kind of intelligence because I can ask you questions that you can then respond to.
Okay.
So the way that we measure intelligence in our society is that we have to be able to measure it somehow. So we can measure fluid intelligence. There are certain kinds of tests that we give, usually that have to do with block design, creating puzzles and things like that people can manipulate, whether those are written or they're actual physical objects that you manipulate. And then we can ask people questions and have them report information back. Okay, so those test fluid intelligence and crystal intelligence. And so a person could do really, really well on a test of those fluid and intelligence tasks and be said to be really, really smart, really intelligent. But what I've always said is I might do really well on those kinds of exams. But if you took me and dropped me into the middle of New York City without any money, without a cell phone, and told me I had to survive, I would probably die because I don't have the skills to be able to survive. And yet there are lots of people that can do that can survive in those kinds of environments. That's a different kind of intelligence that we oftentimes don't account for. So there's lots of different kinds of intelligence that we actually don't know, don't understand, and don't account for. And when we think about that, then we are thinking about trying to explain something that we can't actually measure. And that's where the current kinds of tests for intelligence break down, is that when we get to a point where we can't actually physically measure those things, then it makes it harder for us to produce tests that actually give us any kind of information. And so this article that I put up on flexibility talks exactly about this. And so I always go back to the parent article, and the parent article actually talked about this idea of neural networks, that intelligence is actually potentially, we don't understand this well yet, or we can't actually measure it well yet, that's a better way of saying it, that these neural networks that get created in our brain are actually what make us intelligent. The flexibility that a person can demonstrate is actually what makes them intelligent. And so people who are more intelligent have more connections in their brain, and that those connections allow your brain, different parts of your brain, to talk to each other more completely, more fluidly, more consistently. And that is actually the most sincere form of intellectual reasoning. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that this is true, that there is the ability to have these neural networks created, and that when these neural networks are talking to each other and they are operating efficiently, that a person is more intelligent. Then the kind of intelligence or the kind of brain waves that are going to be reflected there are going to be those gamma waves. So that's why this idea of what phase, what kind of brain waves does your brain operate in, that's why those things make a difference. So for me, when I think about it, I think that the most intelligent people, if we were going to define intelligence, that intelligence is really the definition of wisdom. So when you think of wise people, these are individuals who are very flexible. They are unflappable. They are able to adapt to a changing environment, and they are able to always stay on top of the changing environment in a way that allows them to thrive, and they're able to share that information. So those individuals have to have connections in their brain that allow them to access different parts of their brain very quickly and very completely. So when we think about intelligence, for me, the most sincere form or the most sincere definition of intelligence is this idea of wisdom. So when you think of the wisest person you know, that individual is likely the most intelligent. And that's why in cultures like Native American cultures or Asian cultures, where individuals really revere the elderly, they do that because those individuals are perceived to be the wisest individuals in the society. And because those individuals are the wisest, they are revered as the most intelligent. Now, that kind of goes away from how we handle that in Western civilization, where, we actually, take our elderly people, and if they're not physically fit, we put them in institutionalized settings where we don't actually have to do a lot with them. Now, I'm not saying that everybody does that, but that is a common practice. That's why we have retirement communities and old folks' homes. So that may not be the best way to handle those individuals, because those individuals may have qualities that actually we could learn a great deal from. All right, so we got to go to our second break. When we come back, we're going to try and put this together by talking about how we can make ourselves more flexible, more reliably. So if you have questions or comments, or you just want to talk about something that you're thankful for this weekend, area code 314-969-9797, 866-455-9797. Be right back.
It's hard to make the good things last. You realize the sun doesn't go down. It's just an illusion caused by the world.
This is Psych with Mike. Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797.
Hey guys, Glover here. Log on to 971talk.com and register to win a Lion's Choice lunch party for up to 20 people. I'll stop by your office and bring the famous roast beef sandwiches from Lion's Choice. Tell us why you should win the Lion's Choice lunch party at 971talk.com.
Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event spotlights up to 28% off. That's as much as $15,000 off on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rams. Get 0% for 72 months plus $1,000 back. TVs, gift cards, tablets, oil changes. Win them just for coming in. 8 a.m. Friday through Cyber Monday. Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event. 2 locations, Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri, and in Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or online at royalgatecars.com. Up to 28% off on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We're talking $15,000 off, or 0% for 72 months and $1,000 back. You want to experience real Black Friday savings? Then you gotta go to Royal Gate. #1 for all the right reasons.
Royal Gate, the driving force.
Discount off MSRP. Stock numbers D6893 and J6042. MSRP 52205 includes all rebates. See dealer for details. Monthly payment of $1,309 per $1,000 finance with approved credit.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live. It's local. It's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up. You thought that phone couldn't get any smarter? Well, it got simpler. It got leaner. It's got your back. And it'll keep you moving. Winning. In the know. And it'll get you where you want to go. All in the palm of your hand. Next Radio. Live and local, wherever you go.
Listen to your favorite FM stations with the free Next Radio app. Live and local, wherever you go. Download the free Next Radio app today.
Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event spotlights up to 28% off. That's as much as 15 grand off on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rams. Get 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 back. TVs, gift cards, tablets, oil changes. Win them just for coming in. 8 a.m. Friday through Cyber Monday. Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event. 2 locations, Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri, and in Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or online at royalgatecars.com. Up to 28% off on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We're talking 15 grand off, or 0% for 72 months and $1,000 back. You want to experience real Black Friday savings? Then you gotta go to Royal Gate. #1 for all the right reasons.
Royal Gate, the driving force.
Discount off MSRP. Stock numbers D6893 and J6042. MSRP 52205 includes all rebates. See dealer for details. Monthly payment of $1,309 per $1,000 finance with approved credit.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. Join me for the Tim Jones Show Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m. We'll have Tim's Top 3, Media Malpractice, the top newsmakers of the week, and your phone calls.
The Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1. Talk lines are open now, 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. Now, more Psych with Mike on FM News Talk 97.1.
Welcome back into the Royal Gate Dodge Studios. So tonight we are talking about this idea of intelligence and making your brain operate more efficiently. This all comes out of my recent experience with my sister-in-law who had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, and trying to think in ways of helping her to be able to recuperate from that. So we've already talked about what brainwaves are, and if you want this information, you can go to the Facebook page at Psych with Mike, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Psych with Mike. And I always put stuff up there. So we talked about brainwaves and what they are and why that's important, and how nutrition and meditation are really good things for that. One thing that I wanted to talk about when I was talking about meditation that I didn't talk about, and I want to make sure I go back and reiterate, is this idea of floating. So I've actually done this. I do this actually regularly. That is in my life, that is the most effective form of meditation. So for anybody who hasn't ever done that, you go to a tank, and it is completely dark. Obviously, there are lights in the tanks if you want them on, and there can be music playing, or it can be completely quiet. If it's completely quiet, then you are actually in a very dark, very quiet room, but you are floating. So you're floating in water that has 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt dissolved in it. So it is the exact same consistency of the water in the Dead Sea. So it's impossible for you to drown. You cannot sink. It would be physically impossible for a person to be able to sink. So even if you fall asleep in the tank, you cannot accidentally drown. But my first experience with this was back in the day at St. Louis University in the sensory deprivation tanks there, and now they have actual places where you can go and do that. But that actually gets your brain up into those gamma wave patterns when you allow yourself to be calm and at peace in that complete sensory deprivation. So that's a really good way of being able to get your brain into those gamma wave pattern environments. So what are some other ways that you can go about trying to make your brain more flexible? So what we were talking about in the last segment was this idea that real intelligence has never been defined, and the only intelligence that we actually talk about in Western society is the intelligences that we can measure on our intelligence tests. So I am a clinical psychologist. I have been trained to deliver intelligence tests. I myself do not believe that they are adequate at actually measuring the intelligence of an individual. I think that they are numbers that get assigned to people. I think it's unfortunate that we still use those as the definition of intelligence because there isn't a psychologist alive or a neuroscientist or anyone else who could tell you what intelligence is. So they can tell you the intelligences that we measure, but that isn't actually a complete description of intelligence, as we've already discussed. There are lots of other forms of intelligence. I believe that the most sincere definition of intelligence is the intelligence of wisdom. The wisest people that you can think of, in my mind, would be the most intelligent people. But what are ways, and that is based on this idea of neural connections. So you have lots of neural pathways in your brain. Getting them connected is the best way of creating both flexibility, connectivity in your brain, and enhanced intelligence. So what are some ways that individuals can go about trying to do this for themselves? And so that last article, or the article that I have up on the @Psych With Mike on Facebook, or that I tweeted out @Psych With Mike on Twitter, says 7 ways to develop cognitive flexibility. And this idea of cognitive flexibility is the connection of different areas of your brain that then enhances the flexibility of your thinking and creates intelligence. And so the number one thing that they talk about, and these are in no particular order, but the first thing is to alter your everyday routine. So when you do things the same way every day, you just fall into a habit of muscle memory. Your body knows how to do those things every day. There is no new learning. So we're going to talk about this idea of stress, and we've talked about that before. So the clinical definition of stress is any activity or any situation that puts an organism in a position to learn, to change. So stress, it is much more stressful to learn how to water ski than to go to work every day to a verbally abusive boss. Why? Because you go to work every day to the verbally abusive boss. You know how to do that. There is no learning involved in that situation. That's not actually stressful. People perceive it as negative, and so they create anxiety because of the cognitive dissonance, the inability for the human brain to hold 2 conflicting thoughts simultaneously. So you tell yourself, I don't want to go to work, but I have to go to work. That's anxiety. That's not stress. So stress is learning new things. So altering your routine gives you the ability to learn new things. And then the second one is also about stress, and that's seek out new experiences. So altering your routine and seeking out new experiences gives you the opportunity to learn new things. That is positive stress. So we've talked about the concept of positive stress before. That's called your stress. EUSTRESS is the psychological word for positive stress. And what that means is that is learning environments that the individual perceives of as good or pleasurable, but gives you the opportunity to learn new things. So for me, that is going snow skiing, going scuba diving, building models. I build plastic models. Those are things that are very relaxing for me, but they give me an opportunity to learn new skills and new behaviors. So doing something like that every day is something that helps you to create new connections in your brain. Again, there is no part of your brain that you don't use, only parts of your brain that we haven't yet mapped. So the more connections that you can make in your brain, the more connected that your brain is, the more intelligent that you're going to be. And then the third thing on this list is to practice creativity. This is something that I tell my clients all the time. You got to find something to be creative, whether that is picking up an instrument, which you can do even at an advanced age, whether it is finding a new hobby, anything, whether that's painting, sculpting, anything that you can do that creates an environment of creativity is good. We spend so much time in the right sides of our brains, which is the logical thinking sides of our brain, the side that we associate with math. The left sides of our brain we don't spend as much time in, but that left side of our brain, that creative side of our brain is really, really important. And we want to encourage robust connections between both sides of our brain. And so being creative is a great way of being able to encourage those connections. And then the fourth thing is, don't always take the easiest way. So if you look at something and there are more than one way to get a thing done, now I'm not saying go out and make your life hard just to make your life hard. That isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you could, for example, you could drive to a place, or you could ride your bike or walk. So instead of taking the easy way, getting in your car and driving, give yourself the opportunity to walk or ride a bike. Try and find ways of getting out of the routine and changing things up, and sometimes not always taking the easiest way out of a situation. Those are things that are going to help you to make more connections in your brain. Go out of your way to meet new people. Now, this is oftentimes very difficult. We talk about the difference between people who are extroverts and introverts, and sometimes that is a misunderstood phrase. So a lot of people think that extroverts are people who, really like people and go out. Introverts can like people. It is a misnomer to say that introverts don't like people. The difference is, where does your energy come from? Does the energy that you thrive off of come from outside of you or come from inside of you? So an introvert can like people, but their energy comes from inside. The reason why extroverts are oftentimes thought of as people who like other people is because performers tend to be more extroverted. Their energy comes from outside, so they thrive off of the energy that they get from the audience. That is something that is really important to them and makes them more energized. Introverts don't typically do that. They would rather be passive and be introspective, but they may still like people. They just don't thrive off of that external energy. Then number 6 is transfer your learning. So the most effective way of knowing whether or not you understand a thing is if you can explain it to another person in a way that they understand. So if you can't explain a thing to another person in a way that they understand, then you don't really understand it very well yourself. So being able to transfer your learning gives you the opportunity to try and put into words something that you are thinking about that creates neural connections. So I do that all the time as an educator and as a therapist. So try and find opportunities to transfer learning to another person. And then number 7 is challenge your morals. And what that doesn't mean that you should change your stance on anything. What it means is that you should give yourself an opportunity to look at things from a different perspective. So trying to see things from an alternate perspective is called breaking out of egocentrism. So egocentrism is being focused on just what you know and just what you think. So trying to expand that beyond just your own ideas and your own perceptions will help you to make new neural connections. Okay, so as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Psych With Mike. You can like the Facebook page at Psych With Mike on Facebook. We are going to be here again next week. I hope that this was helpful. You can always go to michaelmahon.org and find the podcast of the show or be able to contact me. So we will see you guys next week. Hope this was helpful. Talk to you next week.
Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych With Mike.
See the sparkle in her eyes when she opens that box from Diamonds Direct this Christmas. Diamonds Direct, your source for the gifts women want at the guaranteed best price in America. Rings, earrings, pendants, pearls, colored gemstones, enough to supply up to 30 ordinary stores. And to make it easy on your wallet, we've got 3 years zero-interest financing on any purchase. Get her a $2,000 pair of diamond earrings and pay less than $56 a month. Or a 5-carat tennis bracelet, just $195 a month. And if you're popping the question, this amazing 3-year finance offer also applies to all certified diamonds and all engagement rings. Just take the price, divide by 36, and that's your payment. Diamonds Direct, your direct diamond importer with an expanded selection of sparkling holiday gifts from $200 to $200,000. All with our best value guarantee, free gift wrapping, and free lifetime warranty. Make this Christmas one she'll always remember with the perfect gift from Diamonds Direct. Olive and 270 at City Place. Open extended hours including Sundays now through Christmas. On approved credit.
Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event spotlights up to 28% off. That's as much as 15 grand off on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rams. Get 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 back. TVs, gift cards, tablets, oil changes. Win them just for coming in. 8 a.m. Friday through Cyber Monday. Royal Gate's Black Friday sales event. 2 locations, Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri, and in Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or online at royalgatecars.com. Up to 28% off on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We're talking 15 grand off, or 0% for 72 months and $1,000 back. You want to experience real Black Friday savings? Then you gotta go to Royal Gate. #1 for all the right reasons.
Royal Gate, the driving force.
Discount off MSRP. Stock numbers D6893 and J6042. MSRP 52205 includes all rebates. See dealer for details. Monthly payment of $1,309 per $1,000 finance.
KFTK FM Florissant. KFTK AM East St. Louis. K254CR St. Louis.
Powered by Window World.
FM News Talk 97.1.
Congress gets back to work next week. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. President Trump's been encouraging cooperation during the Thanksgiving holiday.
The people of this nation come from all different backgrounds, but we are all one people and one American family.
But he'll be back in Washington tomorrow, where he faces tough issues and plans to meet Tuesday with Congress's 4 big leaders.
That's Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. That meeting's primarily all about preventing a federal government shutdown next month. They have until December 8th to pass at least a short-term budget extension, because on December 8th, the money runs out.
Fox's Phil Keating. Also on Capitol Hill, a showdown brewing over a federal agency. 2 different acting directors for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau may show up Monday, one appointed by the outgoing director, the other by President Trump. What comes after Black Friday? Small Business Saturday.
3/4 of all consumers are planning on going to one or more small businesses as part of their holiday shopping, and 44% of the people out there say they plan on spending more at these small businesses. Shoppers on Small Business Saturdays have been increasing since 2013, 77 million that year. Well, this year, probably more than 112 million, and spending has gone up from 14 billion in 2013 to 15.4 billion last year. A real great way to make sure that the businesses in your neighborhood stay open.
Fox's Brian Yen has many retailers optimistic about this holiday shopping season. Investors feeling thankful for the bright outlook on business and strong corporate earnings that boosted the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ to record highs yesterday. The S&P 500 closed above 2602, the NASDAQ ending above 6889. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official FM News Talk 97.1 Weather Center forecast calls for mainly clear skies tonight, seasonably chilly with lows 30 to 35. Good deal of sunshine for tomorrow. Nice in the afternoon, mild with a high 62. Clear and mild for tomorrow night, lows 40 to 45. Breezy and warmer Monday, mostly sunny, high near 70. Nice and warm with some sun Tuesday, high again 70. I'm meteorologist Frank Streit for FM News Talk 97.1.
Hey guys, Glover here. Join us for the kickoff event to our Christmas food drive at Moritz Royce Jewelry, Friday, December 1st, starting at 3 p.m., helping feed the hungry in the St. Louis area and drop off a canned good or non-perishable food item to benefit Operation Food Search. We'll have giveaways each hour, including blues tickets, restaurant gift cards, and a gorgeous Tavon watch from Moritz Royce Jewelry. Get all the details on the December 1st kickoff event at 971talk.com. The 2017 DGS Christmas Food Drive presented by Moritz Royce Jewelry.
What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted. The police officer